Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we'll be working on the SS once again. And today should be a fairly quick video, nothing too crazy today. But today we're going to be fixing the PCV system. As you guys know, in the Corvette behind me, I actually blew out the rear main seal by having the PCV system improperly installed. Basically, I capped a port that I shouldn't have, and when I went on a test drive, it pushed the rear main seal out the back of the motor. And it pissed out 2 quarts of oil, at least 2 quarts of oil out the back and into the bell housing. So I'll have a video to that fix up above. Now, I'm not going to have that same issue on the SS behind me, but we do have a loose fitting, and I want to fix that and resolve it so that we won't have a similar type issue that happened on the Corvette. So as you guys can see, we have the Spectre intake system that we put together at least 2 years ago, and I'm not sure if I ever showed the PCV fitting, but this is the stock ZL1 PCV hose. So it goes from the passenger side valve cover, the driver's side valve cover, and now I'm running the ZL1 Camaro, the CTSV LSA valve cover, so it's plug and play on the valve covers. But for the intake, the Camaro has this little catch can air oil separator setup right here. So what it does, it actually goes like straight down. But, you know, with this being plastic, you can obviously bend it. And when I initially attached the PCV system to the Spectre intake that we have, well, I found a check valve that was the right size and just used that. And as you guys can see, you know, it plugs in, but man, it is super loose, and it's never... You know, it has never, like, properly sealed, if that makes sense. So what we're going to be doing today is actually replacing this plastic check valve with a machined steel piece. I think it's steel. I'm not really sure. But I've been looking up PCV hose setups and whatnot. I finally found what I needed. Now, I actually called Edelbrock about a month ago to get this metal piece on that they have set up for their E-Force, and that thing, it works mint because the PCV system just clicks right into it. I ordered it. It took a couple weeks to get here because Summit Racing had to, you know, check their catalog, and I couldn't order directly from Edelbrock. I had to order it through Summit or Jags. I ordered it. Edelbrock sent it to me. Well, guess what? They sent me the wrong fitting. So I was like, great. So eliminating Edelbrock out of the picture, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but when I called them, you know, I specifically said metal PCV fitting on their E-Force intake, gave them the part number for the entire supercharger kit. Now, the only thing I didn't have was that metal little piece part number. I had other pieces, part numbers for the kit, but not that particular piece. So after that happened and waiting almost a month for that little metal fitting to never show up, I got the other end of that fitting, basically. I got the plastic piece that snaps into it, but not the metal piece. So after dealing with that, I just started doing my own research. I ended up finding out that the GM PCV systems are usually a 3/8 inch hose. And what they have they call it a 3/8 inch Bundy fitting. Don't know why it's called a Bundy. I don't know if it's Australian. I don't know what. So I started looking into various like 3/8 inch fuel metal fitting, you know, etc. I eventually stumbled across this. This is actually from Edelbrock. Edelbrock owns Russell, so it came from the same place. But what we have here is a 3/8 standard fuel line to a 3/8 inch NPT fitting. So what that is going to allow us to do is to drill a hole, well, take this hole, enlarge it, tap it for this fitting. It's a 3/8, like I said, a 3/8 size. And it's part number 640690. So I ended up finding a couple companies that make similar fittings to this, but one company was a Ford company charging like $50 for the fitting. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. ADM Performance actually makes a PCV fitting, but unfortunately, it's listed for the LT4. So I just reached out and I said, hey, I'm looking for a 3/8 inch, you know, fuel line fitting. Do you guys have, is that the size of your PCV system? They emailed me back. Thankfully, it was not. It was a different size. I believe it was larger. So that fitting, it was only like, I think it was like $9 on ADM Performance's site. But, you know, again, it wasn't going to fit. This little fitting was like $6. So we should be good. And so after a lot of research, we're finally gonna fix our little loose PCV system issue. So let's get this open. I'll show you how it fits. So here's the 3/8 fuel fitting from Russell, and we're gonna show you that it snaps right into the PCV. See, and it won't come out. That is fully secure. And now to loosen it, we're just gonna have to press this little button and pull it out. And there you go. So that pulls out. Metal fitting is gonna be a lot better than this plastic check valve that I broke a while back, and I super glued it back together, but I removed the check valve spring and all that. So should be good there. So basically what we're gonna do now is tear apart the intake and basically remove it. This is actually loose because of my last video where we tried to fit the 102mm throttle body, and since we're gonna have to take it apart, you know, I've already scraped it up a bunch, so I don't care that we're drilling another hole. I'm gonna tap it for this. And for the tap, I ended up going to Harbor Freight and I picked up this 6-piece tap and die set. As you guys can see, it's a 3/8-18 NPT. My other tap and die set have 3/8, but I believe it's -14 and -24 or 16 and 24, and guess what? Well, that's not NPT thread. It's a different thread altogether. I ended up going to Lowe's trying to find a 3/8 NPT tap. Well, guess what? They didn't have it, so I ended up just going to Harbor Freight picking that up. I'll try to have a link in the description down below for the metal fitting and a tap set that will work with this swap. So let's get the intake apart. We'll get this pipe tapped and insert this fuel line fitting. We have the intake torn apart. We've removed the little grommet that I had here that was holding that PCV valve. Our hole is obviously way too small for this threaded fitting, so we're gonna have to drill this out for the tap and start on that. I have a step drill bit here, and I don't know if you can see that, but it says 9/16. And if you look over here on the scale, 9/16 is one size down from the size that we need, the 37/64. Well, I have other drill bits on here, you know, these other unit bits, but the closest one I have is 35/64, which is two sizes down, you know, in the 64th scale. So I can't, you know, I don't have the exact size. So what I did was I ended up taking, you know, I ended up drilling down to the 9/16, which is one size away from what we want. We want that 37/64. And I just took the drill bit and just wiggled it. So that kind of opened up the hole a little bit more, and we should be good. So if you guys look, you guys could see that the fitting won't, it's close, but it won't thread through. So, but if you put the tap in here, it will. And since this is aluminum, I think we should be good to go. So I'll try to go ahead and use the tap on this. You know, if it works, great. If it doesn't, then obviously we'll pull it back out, take the drill bit, just wiggle it around a little bit more and try it again. But let's first try this. I don't want to screw this up by going too big, so I'd rather be a little small and use the tap as its main purpose, you know, is to tap it. Now guys, if this was steel, probably wouldn't try this, but the fact that this is aluminum and aluminum cuts real easily, you know, we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and try the tap and see if it works. We have the finished fuel line fitting into the intake. As you guys can see, we drilled our hole, we tapped it, and then I ended up taking a 19mm wrench and tightening this down. So this isn't going to go anywhere. This is fully seated. Then I blew out the entire assembly with 150 PSI of air, because my air compressor is set to max, so maybe it's 130, but whatever. So clean it out with a bunch of air. I'm gonna clean this out with some rags and stuff next. But you know, I really actually do need to refinish this. When I did the transmission work, you know, with the trans cooler, the torque converter and all that, I accidentally left the Rotofab radiator cover that's over there. And when I raised the motor, it accidentally hit this pipe. So we're gonna have to refinish this anyway, which, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but just wanted to show you the inside of the pipe. You guys should be able to see that. I will say this, I did take a circular rasp and I ground off any of the shavings that was kind of coming in the inside where the thread is, because there was a couple loose, actually you guys can see that a little bit. See where the spray paint's been kind of polished clean, if that makes sense. That I actually just used the circular part of that rasp along the top of the intake, and I got off all the loose aluminum filing. So we should be good with this. This actually took longer to set up all my tools and get them all than it did to actually tap this thing. Now, I'll be honest, guys, you might be able to drill the hole to the proper size, to that 9/16, I believe it was the size, and round it out a little bit, and just put the steel fitting through it, because I think the aluminum would just kind of contort to your fitting needs. But we have that tap now. If we want to do this on the Corvette, I'm not sure, we might not. But so now that that's all set up, we can go ahead and put this on the car. Now guys, if you didn't want to tap and screw into your stock intake, the Spectre intake piping, you can buy aluminum bungs. They're not that expensive. I believe they're under $10, but that would require a aluminum TIG welder. And well, we don't have that at this moment. So maybe we update this setup in the future with that, but this should be fine. And no, I'm not afraid of that metal fitting coming through the pipe causing a air restriction. I simply don't think that'll be an issue. And if we have an issue, guys, we can always take this fitting back out, put a little bit of sealant in there, and seal it against the pipe. But guys, this is cranked tight against the intake, so I don't think we're going to see any leaking. But honestly, we're not seeing any boost, so this should be fine. So there shouldn't be any air ventilation problems coming around that fitting. But let's go ahead and get this back in the car, and we will show you what the finished product looks like. We've got the 90-degree bend. We've cleaned everything out like we said, and I wanted to show you the final fitment of the PCV valve. So you just fit it over the fitting, snap it in. Oh, look guys, this ain't gonna come off. That is 100% secure on there. This ain't coming off. For you to get this off, you actually have to press this tab in and pull up. So put that back on. So we're good. And so there you go. A quick, simple fix to our ill-fitting PCV system. Now, I will say this. You could do this multiple different ways. You could probably go get an aluminum pipe, weld it onto your intake, or just buy this fitting, drill a hole, tap it, and put the fitting in. So in my case, that's a lot easier, but maybe in the future we'll update it like that. And I see some people doing all one pipe and not worrying about the PCV system, but since we've had the issues that we had on the Corvette back over here, I don't want to have that same problem on this car. And when I had the transmission out with the torque converter and all that, I didn't see any oil coming out the back. It wasn't leaking, and I just want to make sure that the PCV system is working properly on this car. So, with these supercharged cars, they really are important. You don't really think it's, oh, that's not a big deal, but actually it is. So, as case in point, the Corvette. And I really don't want to remove a transmission on this car to take all that apart. So I hope this helps you guys. If you have any PCV system issues with your car, just another little fix for that. And it gives you guys some ideas to help fabricate. You don't even need an LSA supercharger. You can have any other type of supercharger. And as long as you have an aluminum pipe on your intake, this is a quick fix for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. If you want to know when I upload new content, hit the bell notification button down below. And as always, if you want to help support the channel, click all the links down below. Thanks guys, have a great one.